I'm going to start today's show off with a quote from Shakespeare: To sleep, perchance to dream. Well, in Hamlet, he talked about sleep meaning death, but here I'm talking about sleep in the literal sense. We sleep in order to be able to dream at night. But do you dream if you're not getting enough sleep? Sad to say, if you're not sleeping well at night, you're not alone. A recent Consumer Reports study showed that 68% of Americans, yes, that many, reported having trouble sleeping at least one night a week, and about 20% suffer from actual insomnia. We're going to talk about the relationship between sleep and dreams with dream therapist, author, and educator Tzivia Gover. Tzivia is the director of the Institute of Dream Studies, leads workshops and panels on dreams, and is the author of several books, including The Mindful Way to a Good Night's Sleep.
I'm so glad to be here with you.
Oh, thank you. Well, Tzivia, you've done a lot of research about sleep. Why do you think we have so many sleeping issues?
People hear the reasons over and over again. We hear that it's because of our devices, it's because of our 24/7 culture, it's because of our go-go attitudes. But I actually think it's more than that. I think the trouble we have with sleep goes back to a fear of the dark. And I'm not necessarily talking about fear of turning the lights off at night, although that might be part of it for some people. I think it's a fear of the unknown, the quote, darkness within, the mystery. We're not very good at letting go of control, surrendering, being still and quiet in the dark. And that's what we need to do in order to unplug and go to sleep. So I think that there's a real connection between our cultural overall disinterest in dreams, our amnesia about dreams, and our difficulty getting to sleep. I think that we're a little bit afraid of the dark.
Well, that's something that a lot of children have trouble with. So you think it goes back to our childhood?
I think it goes back to childhood, but again, I think it's not only the literal fear of the dark. I think as adults, we get comfortable enough with the darkness. But when you look at our patterns of behavior, how first of all, on the literal level, how we light up our houses, in every room, even with the lights out, there's something glowing in the room, right, from our electronics or our night lights. But also look out to the streets. We light up our streets. We light up our cities and towns so you can't even see the stars or the Milky Way anymore. And we keep ourselves busy, right? We're shopping online at all hours. We're gaming. I think we're afraid of that vulnerability. That sure, it starts in childhood, but there's a very adult version of it.
Well, what are the negative ramifications of not getting enough sleep?
Well, we know the negative repercussions, the ones that are frequently cited. A lack of sleep increases our chance of heart disease, depression, cognitive decline like dementia and Alzheimer's. Almost everything to do with our physical and mental health is connected to sleep. And then, of course, as you and I both know, when people don't get sleep, they miss out on the inner treasures. They miss out on the opportunities to gain the wisdom and guidance of their dreams. So there's a lot that we lose when we don't get enough sleep.
And why is it important for us to have that dreaming time?
Dream time is so important for so many reasons. For myself, I can't imagine my life without it. My dreams are like my BFF, the part of myself that will hold me up to a real gold standard, that kind of BFF that'll tell you if you have spinach between your teeth, right? So the dreams show us who we really are. They don't let us get away with a lot, but they do it with love and humor. And when we don't get our dream time, we're also missing on really valuable problem-solving time. So in addition to the psychological and magical benefits of dreaming, there's also some real practical benefits. Dreams help us see things from a new perspective because of the brain chemistry while we're asleep and dreaming. We have access to different parts of our brain. So it's no accident that when we're, puzzling over something that's vexing to us, we say, let me sleep on it. There's real truth to that because different parts of the brain are activated. We can see the problem in a new way. And whether we remember the dreams or not, we'll often wake up knowing the answer.
That is so true. And we both know that from so many countless examples of that. And I want to talk about dreaming a little bit later, but I do want to get back to some questions I have about sleep. So how much sleep is enough for us to be able to have our dreams?
As with dreams, with sleep, there's not a one-size-fits-all answer. So the way you find out how much sleep is good for you is you observe, right? You observe how you respond to 8 hours or 6 hours or 9 hours. When do you feel most rested during the day? When do you feel at your best? So yeah, over some time, if you observe, preferably maybe when you're on vacation after that first few days when you've caught up on sleep, then watch what happens for the next few days after that when you don't wake up with an alarm and you go to bed when you're tired. But in general, it's about 6 to 8.5 or 9 hours for most people.
Mm-hmm. So your book is called The Mindful Way to a Good Night's Sleep. What do you mean by mindful?
It's a really important distinction for the way that I look at sleep and dreaming. So you notice I almost never say one or the other because I see them as so connected. But a mindful approach, we know what that means. Most of us have heard this term by now. We know what it means in terms of day-to-day life. When we're mindful, we're more present moment focused. We're not spinning off into the future or the past. We're taking a conscious look at life, not just so that we're more relaxed, but it has that advantage, but also so that life becomes more meaningful. We're more fully rooted in our emotional, intuitive, and cognitive experience. So many of us just drop that, even if we have a mindfulness-based practice. Maybe we do a little meditation in the morning. Maybe we remind ourselves throughout the day to become present. But we sort of drop that whole idea when it comes to sleep and dreams. Our head hits the pillow and either we go into our sleep or we just conk out and that's the end. But there are deep and ancient wisdom traditions in which sleep and dreams are a continuation of the full cycle of mindful living, so that we try to maintain consciousness as we prepare for sleep. So we realize that we're preparing for another phase of the day, an important and I would say sacred part of our day, the night, and that we try to even enter sleep mindfully, so that we try to watch our breath as we're falling asleep and see if instead of falling or just dropping into sleep, we can consciously, gradually experience the transition from awake to sleep. And then it gets even more complex and esoteric but very possible to notice the transition from sleep to dreams and from dreams to wake. Now that's a very tall order, but for most people, we can bring more consciousness to the process by looking not only at how much we sleep, but what's the quality of our sleep, and how can we improve that by using some of the tools for meditation and mindfulness. So I teach some meditations that we do on the mattress, on the pillow at night, and techniques for dreaming more consciously, being more aware and conscious of the quality of our dreams and the quality of our waking as well. So keeping that whole cycle of attention and consciousness.
Okay, so you talked about using things like meditations to help you get to sleep. Are there any other techniques that can be useful to people?
Absolutely. A lot of different techniques. So, drawing from the tradition of mindfulness, we can look at some yogic practices like some basic stretches. And you don't have to go to a yoga class, although there's a great benefit to doing so. But just by doing some gentle stretches before bed, we start to bring our attention out of our mind, and our biggest sleep stealer are our thoughts, right? Our thoughts are our biggest sleep stealers. So our worries, our projections into the future or ruminations on the past. So by doing some gentle stretching before bed, giving ourselves a nice foot massage with maybe some rose foot or hand cream, we start to draw our attention down into our body and relax the body in preparation for sleep. And that helps a lot.
What about people who maybe not don't have problems falling asleep at night, but then they sleep for a couple of hours and get up? How do they go back to sleep?
Right. And that's where I bring meditation into the process. That's meditating in bed. So when we wake up in the middle of the night, it's very difficult. This can create a real cycle of sleeplessness because we get anxious. We start looking at the clock and we start counting the hours. Oh no, now I'm never going to get 6 or 7 or 8 hours, let alone 9 of sleep. So we start getting anxious, and that adds to the problem. So what I recommend instead, first of all, if possible, don't even look at the clock. Just turn the clock around, don't look at it, just let it go. And then I offer some different meditations that focus not on thoughts, but help us anchor our minds to something more simple and relaxing or monotonous. So you can meditate on images. So a fun one to do is to pick a letter from the alphabet at random. You can start with B for bedtime, or R for relaxation, and just let yourself think about all the images you can come up with that start with that letter. So you stay on R for as long as you can for relaxation, and you might think of roses and rainbows, anything, running shoes, and just picture each image one at a time and anchor all your attention there. And if any other thoughts come in, bring it back to the next image, right? Maybe it's a rolling pin, and that can help you fall back asleep.
That's a wonderful suggestion. I want to ask you, how can people find out more about you and about your books and your programs?
Sure, absolutely. If you can spell my name, that's the trickiest part. Once you can spell my name, you can find me on the internet. It's Tzivia Gover, Tzivia Gover. And this is my book, The Mindful Way to a Good Night's Sleep. And that's an easy way to find me as well. And the institutefordreamstudies.org, institutefordreamstudies.org is another easy way in.
We've been speaking with dream expert Tzivia Gover.